Hey everyone, I'm the Idea Maker, and today I'm going to be giving you my full non-spoiler review on Tron Ares. Now, you've seen my reaction to both Tron and Tron Legacy, and you guys are probably wondering what I felt about Tron Ares. So I went to go see this to go celebrate a friend's birthday, and I'm very happy that I did. Shout out to my friend Levi, whose birthday was a few days ago, and he had an awesome experience for this. I went with him. I went with friends. We went to go see it in 40x 3D, and I gotta say, this movie actually has some um, very amazing visual effects sequences that I thought they actually did an impressive job. I think that it didn't feel like if it was janky, it didn't feel weird. They have some really good callbacks to both the original Tron and Tron Legacy, and I greatly appreciate the fact that they have some really great callbacks. I know that some people they were saying it's too generic of a plot. Honestly, I didn't find it to be generic. I actually found it to be an interesting plot because, and I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm saying it in a way where I think that there's some very interesting discussions that you can have about this. And like I mentioned before, I'm going to give a brief story on this. So I believe that artificial intelligence is when there's a coded program that uses machine learning and any other instance of code that makes it self-aware, that they can think for themselves, that they can rewrite their coding in their program, kind of like the ISOs. That's when I believe it's artificial intelligence. What we have like ChatGPT, Gemini, um, um, Google, Siri, and Alexa. Those were coded by people that they get updated every single time. And if it's getting updated by humans because of code, to me it does not count as artificial intelligence but coded assistance. And I believe that coded assistants are something to be differentiating themselves compared to what we have that we consider AI. I think, in my opinion, that there's an interesting thing in Tron Ares that it really goes into the idea about artificial intelligence. And I think that, it gets us thinking about, do we need artificial intelligence in order for us to keep on pressing through daily lives? Or is this something that we should just abandon? Is it an idea that we should just abandon in general? I think, in my opinion, that Tron Ares does a good job at making us think. It's a movie that it actually makes you think. From the opening to the ending, there are many great callbacks and many great questions that you get brought up, and you don't think about it at first because you're trying to understand this story. You're trying to get it to the point, like, this is a movie that this is about competing for what we can do with artificial intelligence. And I feel like, definition wise, I believe that all technology can be used for both good and bad. And depending on the person's preference of how to use it and what they can do in order for them to achieve their goal, it depends on the person. I really don't believe that, technology can be good or evil. Its purpose is good and evil. Its purpose, well, sorry, I'm kind of blanking a little bit. By the time I'm recording this, it's very late, but I wanted to get this in. I wanted to get my thoughts fresh in before I did anything. I feel like, you know, our intentions are the good and evil, but I also feel like everything that we do for when it comes to technology, it's going to be a swift kick in the butt for us, especially if it's something that it's going to impact people in the wrong way. I think that when it comes to technology can be a very, very controversial topic because of how so many people, they think about what they could do with technology, and how it can be mostly bad. I honestly feel like it's a question that doesn't get brought up as much as we needed to. And this movie, even though that it's about Ares, that he is a program that he he is trying to understand, you know what he is. He's trying to understand exactly what he's meant to do. What he's meant to be. And I think that the bigger central message about it is what what direction are we taking ourselves into when it comes to artificial intelligence. It comes to what direction are we taking when it comes to technology, when it comes to social interaction, when it comes to ideas and being creative and being a visionary genius. What are the steps that are we are taking, and what is the definition in our mind compared to everybody else's? This is a movie that I think that it does a lot of makes you think a lot. And I don't think that I actually appreciate movies that focus on technology, or even shows that focus on technology, and they give you this type of philosophical talk. I think that maybe that's why some people don't like this movie, because of that. This makes you it really brings up questions that it kind of makes you think, and you just want to go to the movies to have a good time. Honestly, I loved the visual effects out of this movie. Like I said, I thought they were awesome. I felt like the fight sequences, I think that they could have been amped up a little bit more. Um, there's a few moments in this movie that actually very surprised me, because this is the first Tron movie that's given a PG-13 rating. I actually kind of wish that they would have said that there was some amount of swearing in this one, and there were words in this movie that I was actually very surprised that they had for a Disney movie, like a Disney movie like for them, like not like they had what I would consider Hamilton swearing, but then again, that's something from a production, like a Broadway production. Um, I was actually very surprised at some amount of swearing that was in this. I was like, wow, really? Like, that's surprising. But I would say 95% of it is in the first 20 minutes of this movie. And then I believe there's like maybe one or two scattered throughout the rest of the hour and 40 minutes. This movie is actually surprisingly dark. It is a dark movie. It really, really is. I feel like a lot of Tron Ares, it really also brings up the question of bringing, AI into reality. Like, it also brings like the programs into the real world. It brings up that question that makes you think ethically, is this ethically correct? I really like the fact that this movie isn't afraid of shying its way into talking about different discussions that we talk about today in terms of technology, artificial intelligence, where we're heading for all of this. I love the callbacks. Like I said, they have callbacks to Tron and Tron Legacy. The callbacks that they have are great. I think what's interesting is, in my opinion, because I'm really not a Jared Leto fan. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not a fan. But I was very surprised with him in Haunted Mansion. Him voicing the Hatbox Ghost. And I gotta admit, I'm actually surprised that I started, when I first started seeing his performance, I kind of really didn't like it at first. It started growing onto me because I had to remember that, he's playing an artificial intelligence, because this time he is an artificial intelligent program. It's like I mean, and we see this. We see this in the trailer. It's not a spoiler because this is already something that already exists. I think the trailers do a good job at misleading who Ares is or like what type of a character he is because he's not what you think. He is not what you think. You would be expecting this to be portraying it as the way that they do in the trailers. All I'm gonna say is it's not. It's not like how they portray him in the trailers. It is an interesting idea to look at this movie from both the program and from the user's points of views. I think what I loved about this movie is that this movie, in my opinion, does a great job at exploring the internals of what goes on through a system compared to what goes on in the real world, and I think that that's pretty impressive to do and making it into a fun, exciting way where both events are happening simultaneously, and it doesn't oversaturate it, but it makes it appealing because you're seeing it from a program's point of view, you're seeing it from a user's point of view, and I think that it does a great job. There is a mid credit scene in this movie that it looks like it does set up a sequel. So if we get Tron 4, I mean that would be pretty awesome. I think that'd be amazing. I think the build up to the fight scene to like the big finale, I think it actually pays off. This movie is fast paced for it being an hour and 59 minutes. It's fast paced. But in my opinion, I still find Tron Legacy to be the better one. Tron Ares to me, I think like is a very good second. I think that it does its job on trying to be different, especially because that you're having it set in both the digital world and in the real world. You're setting it in the grid and you're setting it into our society, and I think that it's a great blend between the two. I think that when when they're doing this idea of trying to blend the two together, surprisingly it works. And some of the footage from the trailers, I wish that they would not have given much away, but I mean, it's not much of a movie afterwards. But all I can say is that there's parts that you might not be able to guess. There's parts that you will be able to guess. And I think that it does a good job depending on if you've seen the trailers or not. And I think that it just really does a good job on leaving you kind of like guessing what's gonna happen. And for me, I was at the edge of my seats for two reasons. One, because I don't like it when it kicks you in the back, so that's not my style. But I also feel like another good thing about this is that Tron Ares, what it does well is that it differentiates itself from Tron Legacy and Tron. There are some, like I said, there's some really, really good callbacks and really good Easter eggs for those. But it's not one actually. You know what? I'm gonna say this. There's one point in this movie where they really, really dive right into one of the two movies, and it's effective. It's really, really effective. It's one of the most crucial points out of this movie, and it does a great job with having to make it feel like this is what needs to happen in order for Ares to develop. I think what's also great is that Evan Peters' character Julian Dillinger, that he names his programs off of different mythology legends, and it's interesting. It's very interesting with like how there's Ares, there's Athena, and I think what's interesting that I didn't realize until now was that it's like Adam and Eve. Like there's some biblical ideology to it, and even in this movie, like Ares kind of like he quotes like some biblical theology and biblical verses. They don't specifically say, but there's some biblical ideology and biblical text in here that it's very interesting that they go and they include in the script. I think that the opening is such a great way of being bringing homage to the other movies, but also being its own thing. This movie also, what it does so good too is that I feel like the actors were actually good in this one. I gotta hand it to Jared Leto because at some points I felt like I didn't like how some of his responses and the way he was talking in the real world felt like Chat GPT, and he's trying to do his impression of Chat GPT when he's in the grid, and later on in his character development he sounds normal. It's kind of weird. His performance is a little weird, but when he gives it, he tends to give it. And I actually don't have many notes for him except I would say the method acting, dude, and the behavior. Tone it down. I mean, I get it, but like you could break it once in a while. I also feel like he, I feel like he did a good job with the chemistry between him and actress Greta Lee. I think that she was phenomenal as Eve. I thought that she was great. I thought she was a great protagonist, and the chemistry that Eve and Ares have is really really like solid. I feel like also I wish that I wish that there was more that they could do with those characters, but it didn't happen. But it's definitely okay. So other things that I want to say about it is that I think on this the script did not feel generic. I really do not feel like it was generic. I thought it was actually pretty good. Um, I think that the great thing about Tron Ares as well is that I think the characters it works. So I want to say Evan Peters does a great job at playing Julian Dillinger, and Gillian Anderson does awesome as his mom, Elizabeth Dillinger. And I there's a moment with her that really shocked me that I was like, I had a feeling it was going to happen, like this event was going to happen, that it's involving her, and it still shocks me. The thing is that this movie it tends to shock me even though that I had like I had predicted this in my mind. I'm sorry. Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of a little tired, but I wanted to get my thoughts out. I also want to say like other different actors on here, like I got to give a major shout out though to Jodie Turner Smith. I thought that she was amazing in this. I thought she was awesome in this because there's a lot of moments with her, especially as Athena, that she scared me, legit scared me, because I felt like she had a commanding presence to where like she was very like stone face stern throughout this whole entire shoot, but you believed that she had her intentions to be working for Dillinger, you know, you know, on hands and knees, on tooth and nail, and to bowing down to his every command because that's her user. And when she goes and has this character arc that she has, and you could see the transition in her eyes and in her tone of voice, I honestly thought she really switched. Like she went and pulled a 180 that I thought was fantastic. Her character arc is great in this movie. I also want to say I also loved Arturo Castro as Seth Flores. He was hilarious. He was so hilarious at this as Eve's assistant. He was funny. He was really really funny. I thought that it was the good comedic relief. Hassan Minhaj as AJ Singh I thought was great too. I thought that I felt like I really wanted to see more of several other characters. So we already knew about Jeff Bridges. He actually had more screen time than I thought. I really thought he was going to have a lot less. I thought I thought it was just gonna be a cameo, but it's actually a pushing off point that I think that this is what it needed, as a story and as character development. I also feel like with this one does something to where I cared about the story more than I cared about the visuals. And that's probably because I'm a software engineer and I graduated with my bachelor's degree in it a couple of years ago, and I just love technological stories. Like I get invested in the plot because I always think, is this gonna happen in real life? Like, is this really going to happen? And whether we come close to this prediction or not, it depends on how time goes. I would say too that Jared Leto did a good job with this one. I hate to say it, but I actually don't want to admit it, but I'm gonna admit it. I think he did a good job for what was given, and the fact that he was an advocate producer on this one. Which I was very surprised that Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross were executive producers on this, and same with director Joseph Kosinski from Tron: A Legacy, from these other different ones. I was very surprised that he was an executive producer on this too, and I could tell some of his signature shots were in there as well. I think if I was to give a rating for this movie, I would say a 7.5 out of 10. The reason why I don't give him more, and I hate to be this guy, but I was trying to give Nine Inch Nails a chance. The only thing, sorry, I was just leaning back and I'm like trying to get my thoughts together. Sorry. I think Nine Inch Nails, for what they had, I mean, I think that they're great composers. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross are great composers. I love EDM. I love electronica music, but I just kind of felt like the score had too many different variations of two of their singles. Actually no, three or four of their songs. I was kind of a little bit disappointed that it wasn't throughout, that it didn't feel distinct, and I just felt like it was chaotic noise to a point. At some points, I felt like it was a chaotic noise, but when it needed to be a moment where it's the score and where you need that emotional gravitas, I definitely felt it, and during those moments. But other different points where it's like setting up another part in the story for both the hero and the villains, I just thought they just kept reusing and reusing and reusing. I didn't like that they kept reusing. That's one thing. I feel like also in terms of the soundtrack, I wish that they could have brought Daft Punk, or at least someone that was majorly inspired by them, that's closest to them. But if that's what they went for, then that's what they went for. I really feel like they could have gone with a different composer and a different musician for this score, because I gotta say, nobody is going to beat Daft Punk's score for Tron Legacy. It is one of my all-time favorite soundtracks of all time. If honestly, as a top 3 favorites, it's easily Tron Legacy as my number 1 favorite, and then Interstellar as my number 2. My number 3 is a hard one because it tends to change, but usually it's the other two are dead set on being like those ones. But like I said, I feel like I've never really listened to Nine Inch Nails before. I wanted to listen to them before I watched this movie, but I didn't get that chance. I listened to a few of their songs, not all of them. I didn't listen to a lot of their songs, but it's not my type of music. It's not my type of environment. So honestly, the music is what's more bringing this down for me. I think that if without the music being them, I think that if it was Daft Punk that they brought them back, I would have really said it was a 9.5 out of 10. But I think I deducted 2 points, because the first point is because of the music placement. Even though that it was in sync and they did some really good jobs with the opening and everything, I just felt like their music just it was a good time for me, but I just felt like the score was a little too repetitive. Like they kept using the same version of, like, As Alive as You Need Me to Be, or what's the other song from them? The other one was Shadow Over Me. I felt like they used too many of the same variations with it. I wish that they could have been like interpolating it throughout the rest of it, little by little. But I don't know. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. Um, I understood the chaotic messiness out of the score, but I just didn't enjoy it like I thought I was gonna enjoy it for the movie. That's the only thing. It just felt more like noise, and I get it because I guess it's supposed to be like an allegory to like how you know Ares' mind is very very chaotic and trying to figure his place in the digital world and the real world, and he's wanting to figure out where he belongs. And I can understand it to that point, but I think that what they could have done, or at least a different electronic musician could have done, is that they could have went and they did their themes, did variations for it, and come up with something. Because that's what I loved about Tron Legacy, is that there's moments that you can be able to pick different ones and be like, yep, that's one of my favorite ones. Like, you go from the overture to the grid to there's one that I really really liked, and it's blanking out on me right now. Um, that it is, what is it? The Son of Flynn. The Son of Flynn is another great one. Recognizer is one of my all-time favorites. My favorite one, besides Armory, which is an awesome one, is Adagio for Tron, Durez, Fall, Clue. They have some really distinct moments where I would listen to them all the time, and it's just very distinct because that Daft Punk, they're such visionary artists. As whether it's together or individually, they're amazing. They are just absolutely amazing. Like, I cannot say no to them at all. So, giving, credit to Thomas Bangalter and Guy Manuel de Homem Christo, I think that they both were just amazing. They did an incredible job at, keeping the humanity and the real world life environment and instrumentals there are, keeping that tied into the futuristic sounds of the grid, keeping it to the emotional intensity and the action-packed intensity from it. And honestly, this movie could have been a lot more. 9.5, like, those are just the 2 points. The point 5, honestly, is just what gives me, the hope of making it like a 10 out of 10 is, I feel like I think that certain scenes kind of felt a little prolonged. I think some decisions could have been different. But I do find this movie to be very enjoyable. But you know what? If they do make a fourth one, I will definitely go and see it. If you guys are still not sure about this, and hopefully this review did give you a little bit of insight, if anything, I hope that it did, because this movie was great. In my opinion, it was great, but I just don't consider it better than Tron Legacy. I feel like my ranking would be Tron Legacy is number 1, Tron Ares would be number 2, and the original Tron would be in last place at number 3. But like I said, I'm gonna definitely do a revisited spoiler review slash revisited movie reaction for Tron Ares. So that way, to give you guys some time to see it in the theater, in case if you guys don't, and in case if you guys don't want to buy the movie or anything, then you can hop on here. I'll be reacting to it, and it'll give you more of an idea about that talk before getting to invest more. But yeah, so without further ado, this was going to be my non-spoiler review for Tron Ares. If you guys want to go check it out, you guys can go check it out right now. It's in theaters now, playing everywhere. If you guys want to see, if you guys want to follow me on any social media, I've got Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, aka X, my Discord server. If you want to see more videos like this, then please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching. God bless you all. Stay safe. I'll see you on the next videos, and keep on the lookout for more videos in regards to the Halloween movie marathon. Right? Bye, guys.